from BBD, News with Views, closing the year with two commentaries on views on global geostrategic possibilities for the year 2021. 2020 has been a year of flux, creating a lot of opportunities and spaces for a lot of countries, including India. I know that we are batting on a weak wicket as far as our primary engine of economics is concerned, but the winds of geostrategic winds are in our favor, and if leveraged well, they can give us results that are multiplied many times over. It just seems how we play the game, right? The biggest change that's happening is there's a new sheriff in town. The systems in the United States, democratic systems, are held, and Joe Biden is the new president-elect, and Kamala Harris is the new vice president. There is going to be a change. This sheriff will have a lot of implications for Russia. It'll have a lot of implications for Turkey. Iran will have a lot of implications for Israel. But the key for a lot of people in India who are worrying is, what will America and Biden's administration essentially do with their relationship with China? Will it pull back from the aggressive nature that was the hallmark of Trump, or will it be more aggressive? There's generally a feeling that it won't be as confrontational as Trump. However, I think the underlying message that is coming out from Biden, that it's going to be a lot tougher on China than China wishes it to be. And the Indian analysts actually should read deeper into how what Biden plans for the United States is actually going to benefit India and actually further nail China. So let's see what we have. Is a note by 2020, End of Innocence by Harsh Pant. It says 2020 is the year the scales fell from our eyes, enduring challenges became visible. He says, as the 21st century ends its adolescence and enters a new decade, the year 2020 has powerfully underscored what transition from adolescence to adulthood often looks like. The turbulence of 2020 is not merely a turbulence of difficult year, but a culmination of certain trend lines. What does he say? The world was busy making money from the Chinese model, as economics was seen to be the main vehicle which would deliver us from evil. The Americans, the Europeans, and the Asians all believed that because we were making money of the Chinese Communist Party would leave us alone. Trade was the panacea and technology the new frontier. It was Donald Trump who forced us to acknowledge that something was not quite right in the world's subservience to China. Even then, the belief was that Trump was an aberration, that he would go away soon and things would return back to normal. Oh, but China nailed itself. But China was busy creating its own new normal in South and East China Sea, in the Himalayas, in global institutions, in using trade and technology for geopolitical ends, and in laying down a blueprint for a new world order derived from CCP's worldview. While the rest of the world hesitated in pushing back against China on territorial aggression in multilateral platforms and in bilateral engagement, CCP had no compunctions in laying down new terms of engagement for the rest of the world across domains. Okay. The fact that despite China's stiff opposition, the Indo-Pacific is now a well-accepted part of the global discourse, from the Pacific all the way to Western Europe, showcases the limitations of China's strategic strategy. Now, what is important was India, right? India's role will be critical as the world adjusts to the new structural realities over the next few years, with New Delhi seeking its rightful role in the Committee of Nations as a rule shaper. It will be as much about framing of new political and military coalitions as it will be about becoming the new core of the emerging economic order. But most significantly, perhaps it will be the realm of ideas where the world would be seeking India's leadership. And unlike in the past, India should be ready to lead in unambiguous terms. The days for sitting on the fence, in my opinion, are over, right? And what does Jayadeva Ranade write? He says, 2021 strategic outlook. India must not yield any ground to China, and that is important. He says, while he thinks that Biden administration may focus away from the Indo-Pacific, should soon be visible, he thinks. He says one will watch and see if America reaches its security preference, reduces its security preference in the Indo-Pacific, decreases engagement with the Quad, and whether it dilutes support to Taiwan, Japan, and Philippines on security issues. Many Chinese experts hold a thinly concealed view that Beijing wields considerable influence among US power elite, which will again be revived. Recent US media reports mention that China is establishing contacts with persons close to the Biden camp and points to Beijing's long-standing financial links with the Democrats, including Biden's son, right? But for India, what's important, right? As India strives to ensure good relationships with US and Russia, Russia, I think, is not important, revive its economy and build indigenous capabilities, it is vital it does not yield ground to China and assertively raises issues that impact its core national interests. This is what is critical. But Biden is sending signals that it's going to be tough on China. Biden signals tough approach against China. What does he say? As we compete with China and hold China's government accountable for its abuses on trade, technology, human rights, and other fronts, our position will be much stronger when we build coalitions of like-minded partners and allies. While he did not name India, New Delhi figures high on America's plan to balance China in the Indo-Pacific. From pursuing a foreign policy for the middle class, including a trade and economic agenda that protects American workers, our intellectual property, and the environment, to ensuring security and prosperity. So all this actually, folks, when he's talking about protecting the middle class in the United States, the key fallout will be on China. And when he talks about protecting technology, against China. When he talks about human rights, already there is a bill on Tibet which clearly says that only Dalai Lama's successor will be accepted, that is nominated by Dalai Lama and not by China. That's important thing, and India should play the game. What do we have here? Biden slams China, lays out Indo-Pacific stance. It says, Biden says abuses on trade, technology, and human rights, saying the US can pursue its goal of security and prosperity in the Indo-Pacific region when it is flanked by like-minded partners. And I think here, India has to be that like-minded partner. What does it say? The US House of Representatives on Monday passed a 750 defense policy legislation that includes that bit on Tibet I just spoke to you about. Right, but as this new sheriff steps into town, what should India be doing? He says Piyush Goyal, his Indian counterpart, has said on one stage that a deal was just a new phone call away. So what went wrong? Obviously, it was the bureaucracy. Anyway, but it's not been blamed. As India waits to engage the incoming Biden administration, it also wants to make it clear, as Jaishankar indicated, it is eager for a trade deal more than ever before. So this is going to be important to engage the new sheriff in town. And the other thing that we are going to have to do, folks, as Dhruv Shivshankar writes, is India should have a dialogue on democracy. He says Biden and his advisors recognize that democracy is imperfect and a constant work in progress, and they've seen it themselves in what's happened in the US, right? The oldest democracy. And they have indicated that the approach will not be zealous, but rather respectful of variety of viewpoints, okay? For India, this is an opportunity to deepen engagement with Washington in an area that remains underdeveloped. India projects itself as the world's largest democracy, just as the US likes to think of itself as the leader of the free world. He says a robust conversation between India and the US on bilateral and global democratic cooperation is necessary. And India must showcase. India's recent foray into foreign assistance has included dozens of micro projects in Central America and the South Pacific, West Africa, and Central Asia to support women's cooperatives, civil society organizations, and youth groups. That such effort gets little attention in India, let alone in third countries, is another matter. But there are a couple of differences, right? One is in terms of national security and state building. India and the US have two different definitions. A second area relates to freedom of expression. This is very critical, right? A third area is checks and balance of democratic institutions. This is important because in the the institutions have held strong. Indian institutions, on the other hand, seem to be crumbling under a very strong center, right? This is what everybody perceives as. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, there are evident differences between India and the US when it comes to personal laws and pluralism. This will be the real McCoy. A Biden administration could adopt a narrow approach to global democratic cooperation, confined to small number of Western countries and advanced Asian economies, but pursuing a grander agenda will require a deeper dialogue with India. And in fact, India should jump and dive right into it. India has to be part of this democratic grouping that is going to form itself around Biden, folks. More after the break.
Next Press Logistics Limited provides Army driver, highly disciplined, fighting fit, duty ourselves. I love Next Press Logistics Limited.
Welcome back, folks. A round off of today's conversation with an article by Indrani Bagchi, and the point she's made in an article called Corona and Wolf Warriors. The world changed significantly this year, creating challenges and opportunities for India. That's the true fact. Opportunities, like I said. But what is it? Things that you should remember. China is still on the borders. Because of that, much bolder steps are going to be required in 2021. The other point that you have to notice is that China has dug into Eastern Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh and put up incredible infrastructure, which is nothing short of a siege. What this is, in my opinion, according to her opinion, leading to a Samdrong-Chu situation or a conflict. I personally think it's going to be a conflict come April and May, and we better be ready. Okay. Now, what we missed out, and she says, is Trump gave away awards of merit of medals to while the merit of medal to our Prime Minister was highlighted, the fact that all four in the Quad got it. It was not singularly to just our Prime Minister. Our reporting was as if only he got it. But this is important. It establishes the core of the Quad. It cements it. That's important. That's what Rana Day should know, that this is going to continue as it is. Then, like I had pointed out earlier, sanctions against Huawei, SMIC are going to have a debilitating impact on technology and their chip development, which are the core of all technology. And here, India should take a lead. India should be now trying to set up big foundries and wide chip manufacturing companies and set them up in Ladakh, including our own chip factory, actually, right, under the PSU, right. What is the other thing? While China underestimated the response the globe had, the global imperatives had on Hong Kong, Taiwan is becoming crystal clear. So, like, there is a new resolution that Taiwan has support legislation with bipartisan approval, and also with countries like Japan, India, and Indonesia, not to speak of Japan and Singapore, all doing their own bit. Tibet is, like I said, back on the table, and that is something that is important for them to note, right? There is pressure on the European Union to break away from this investment agreement, and France and Poland have already done so. This is being driven by Jack Sullivan. The other point that is contra within China itself, that is a turn to authoritarianism. And that is impacting. You see what they did with Ant and its IPO. That is going to have serious impact on their consumerism, serious impact on their global ambitions, and serious impact on technology. The other thing India must remember is the nature of war has changed. Nature of war has changed in the Azerbaijan and Armenia fight, which has put everything on technology, and the tanks and big items supplied by Russia had absolutely nowhere to go, folks. And this is so while we go forward, just please remember, whatever we do, economy is critical, and that's where they say the government's economic managers do not inspire confidence. At the risk of repetition, the economy is strategic. But what else is happening, folks, right? As Rahul Singh writes, heavy China Air Force presence in Ladakh, IAF Chief. Air Chief Marshal RKS, whatever said, the Army Air Chief to support its army in Ladakh theatre, along with a large number of radars, missiles, and even as he listed the possible Chinese objectives of its action on the northern border. Folks, as we say, let's be ready for a conflict, and it's going to happen. We might as well be ready for it, right? While that is happening, a nice outreach continues by our Army Chief Narwane, begins 3-day visit of South Korea. And while that's happening, look what's happening here. No space for unilateral bid to alter status quo, Japan. So be it in Ladakh, in the East China Sea, or in South China Sea, Japan stands firm to uphold the principles that underpin a rule-based international order. And this is what the ambassador of Japan to India said, folks. And we have lots of people in play. Let's make sure we use all the legs available to us. Jai Hind.